So today I thought it might be helpful to have an episode dedicated to talking about what it's like for those who might be married to someone or a parent or a child of someone that lives with someone with bipolar. So Ricky, being the husband of someone with bipolar, what worries you about that?
What worries me about it?
Yeah.
Not much these days. When when you first when I first heard you'd got when I first sort of met you, and I thought about the bipolar, I was worried that you were always going to be sad and unhappy, and I couldn't make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the hardest part. That I just, when you're in a low stage, that I don't have the power to, even if I try really hard, to flip you over.
Yeah.
So that was hard, and worried that it was all going to get too much for you in the long run, being that you spend so much time low, that it was going to become too much, and that scared me. But how I manage it now is I think you're doing really well at the moment, but I know sooner or later uh, the switch is going to flip. But I'm sort of stoic about it. Like, I'm not a stoic person, as in I'm very things trigger me easy. But when it comes to you, um, I I just try not to overthink it and just give you what you need, and I don't let your mood or where you're at affect affect. I make sure that I cover my bases, but I don't go, oh well, life's bad because you're not at your best. You know what I mean? I still live my life. It's it, it gets hard at times, but those periods are few and far between, and a lot of the times, like there's a joy in looking after you when you're like that. But I can be in stages where I'm just not in the mood,
Yeah.
and you need me. You'll be low, and you want feedback or you want a boost, and I'm sort of drained because it's a long haul. But I can see how it'd be difficult for people to sort of like go through those cycles, and just not get caught up in the emotion of it,
Yeah.
and still live good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so do you find it harder the manic side or the depressive side?
Oh, you're fun while you're manic. When I haven't seen you get, when you're hypermanic, I haven't seen you get manic that often. Rather than when we first met, you were manic, and so you were talking a bit of nonsense, and then you got. I don't mean manic. I mean you got where to the stage where you were not living in reality or whatever, or you're talking gibberish or whatever.
Yeah.
So that hasn't happened much when I've been around. But when it has happened, it's not fun because I worry about you. But when you're just hypermanic or you're high, it's quite fun. It's quite good. It's just making sure that I don't encourage you too much in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, make sure that I don't like push you in a direction that you wouldn't be comfortable with if you weren't in that state of mind.
Yeah.
So just making sure we tick all the boxes with looking after ourselves and
Yeah.
responsibilities and stuff like that. And just, but from what I can think, it can be quite a fun stage, but you're also fun otherwise.
Yeah.
When you're low, you can be a bit of a Debbie Downer and sort of have negative thoughts where I'll try and you just want to be in that state sort of thing, or you feel that way, so you want to think that way or whatever. And I'll try and work on your thoughts, your thought processes, and like, oh, you shouldn't think like that or whatever. But I don't know. It's just normal for me. I wouldn't know. Sometimes I think, oh, what would it be like if I had someone with who was just enjoyed life all the time, sort of thing, and how would that affect me? But I just take it as it comes, and it's like that. The goat story about the guy who, the horse story. How, I don't know, the story where the people say, oh, that's good, and he says maybe, and then they say, oh, that's bad, and he says maybe. I'm not making any sense, but pretty much what I'm saying is I don't class it as a bad time or a good time. I just try and make the best of it and make sure I'm ticking the boxes, so she's looked after and I'm taking care of myself. Yeah, but luckily we don't get to the... See, my cycles with my schizophrenia are very fast, so I'll be out of reality, but not for long, while Liz's cycles are different, so they don't coincide too much where we're both sick. Would you say that? Like, yeah, and I don't take your moods or depress them personally. I think that's a big one for people to realise.
And so, since we've been together, there's only been one time I've been hospitalised, and that was in a subacute mental health facility as opposed to an acute facility. And that was for a week, and that was when we had already had our daughter. So are there any kind of things that come to mind for that time when I was in hospital for that week that you could give as guide or support to those people that might be watching?
Oh, well, just don't be scared to ask for help, I suppose, and don't take on too much burden. I don't know. I saw it as a chance to do, even though it was hard. It was very hard, and I was worried about you and that sort of stuff. Was also exciting. And I know that's a terrible thing to... like it's...
You have to step up as a challenge. We
have a 6-month-old daughter. Can I look after my daughter on my own? And I was probably, if anything, I was a bit put out when people were treating me like, we'll look after Grace, or sort of, we'll look after you. I was like, I've been here before with my first son. I can do it. So it was a challenge. But I'm not as personable and don't give people as much rope as you do, as in love.
And what's some things that you reckon is helpful for someone who's married to someone with bipolar to keep in mind to make sure that the relationship is sustained during times of illness?
So it's good to know what you're dealing with, to have that bit of education, like learn a bit about the illness so you know what to expect. And sort of, it's hard sometimes because you got to sort of catch certain phases early. You want to get onto it as early as possible, so I can be agitating Liz by saying, oh, you're speaking pretty fast. Are you going into a hypomanic phase or a manic phase or whatever? And she'll sort of be like, oh, I'm just having fun, you know what I mean? As you do, like how I get with my illness. And so there's that element. You want to get onto it fast. You want to know what you're dealing with, and because it's a mood disorder, you might dealing with a range of moods, to not like mirror those moods or take it personally, or just but don't. Sometimes it's hard to sort of think, oh well, it's when it goes on for a while. I don't want it. I want it to be about me for a second or something, or some sort of attitude where,
So you get carer fatigue.
yeah.
And so, is it? I guess I'm not trying to have a leading question here, but
Or anything that helps.
do you think that like the regular kind of relationship stuff, if you just kind of remember that sort of side of things in terms of good communication, in terms of patience, in terms of forgiveness, in terms of giving grace, like, do you think that those things come into play in terms when I'm unwell?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's just on a
Sure.
greater level, like.
Yeah, well, it's just you keep those things in mind.
Yeah.
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 And you just be a bit more forgiving and a bit more caring and try and still live your normal life and don't take it personally like, oh, bringing me down. This is, I could be having fun right now, or sort of that attitude that, oh, this is ruining my day, or it's just life. If you take it on as that's part of your responsibility, you can still have a great day. That's like, I know I used to have this idea that if someone's sad, you have to sort of not be like, I have to be careful because I can be too silly when you're not well, and that is frustrating for you. So I won't I won't be what you need at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just have that commitment behind me and know that it's coming, but don't sort of like let it drag me down or anything. It's quite, I wouldn't want it any other way, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there might not have been any points in our marriage, but has there been times in our relationship where you've gone, I'm not sure whether I need to step up and get like a mental health professional involved, where Liz isn't seeking help, but I think there's a greater problem here. Like, has there been any of that?
Yeah, there has been a few times like that where generally the first port of call is I'll talk to your dad and just explain the situation and where you're at mentally, whether you're seeing what I'm seeing or whether you're, and just talk to him about it, and then it'll be a case of we nut things out and work out our strategy for what we're going to do. But generally, I don't try to manage you without you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I try and take you on board. So if it's a case that we have to like the time you had to check into a place to the subacute mental health place, I sort of had to explain to you that this is the situation and we have to nip it in the bud now.
Yeah.
Like, make you aware of it. And then there's other times when you'll be, when it's not in that bad of a situation, but I see some change in your mood or something, and I'll think, I have to talk to you about this, or maybe look at your medication, and you might want to push it out and leave it, don't think about it, or I'll get onto that next week if I'm still like that, and I'm like, we have to move now. Yeah. But generally, you're pretty rational, and when you're not, I can get through to you. Yeah.
And it's never the case where you actually do things behind my back in terms of like ring up a support worker or something and go, oh, like I can imagine at some stages where in some people's lives it might get to a point where they have to call some sort of mental health assessment team or something to come to the house, but it's all kind of like,
it's all in the background.
Yeah, rather than being able to talk frankly about it.
Yeah. For me personally, I know what that's like, where people speak for you and they're making decisions for you, which, at times maybe that needs to be done, but at the same time, you don't want to be taken out of the loop of your own,
not disempowering the person.
Yeah,
so much,
it can be very disempowering, and it can be a power game where, I'm in control and not the person, even though, you want to help them if they're not making the best decision. So, yeah, it's a balance, and you got to definitely think about the person's free will and all that sort of stuff, or you just not handling it right, I don't think.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to say as the husband of someone that lives with bipolar?
Just, if you love someone and you meet someone, just because they've got a mental illness, it's not like it can be a part of your life. It's not your life. It can be fine. Just learn a bit about it, help them manage it, manage yourself, you know. If it's gonna be good, like if you're in a place where you can do that, but if you're in a place where you're incapable or not in the right space in your mind, or struggling yourself with stuff that you aren't managing, then two problems aren't going to, everyone's got to be on board with let's live a good life, not let's have fun and see what happens sort of thing. You got to manage it and you got to be sensible. Yeah. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
I love you, baby.
Love you too.